You've seen him, the man who speaks like he's the narrator of reality. He doesn't enter a room, he claims it. In a meeting, he interrupts before the sentence finishes, correcting words that weren't wrong, polishing details no one asked for. At dinner, he turns every story into a lecture. Online, he types like a judge, handing out verdicts with a smug calm, as if confidence is evidence. Picture the pattern. Someone offers a careful point. He laughs, just a little, then explains why it's obvious. Someone asks a question. He answers with a speech, not an answer, stretching 3 minutes of noise around one thin idea. Someone disagrees. He doesn't investigate. He escalates. Volume rises. Certainty hardens. The room gets quieter, not because he's persuasive, but because people feel the cost of engaging him. You feel it in your body. A heat climbs your chest, jaw tightens, and your stomach dips. Your brain starts drafting a defense speech, desperate to correct the record, desperate to look smart, calm, reasonable. And that's the trap. While you're managing your image, he's managing the room's perception. And the strangest part is this: the truly capable person is usually sitting there, silent, not intimidated, calculating, listening. They don't need the spotlight because they already own their competence. They speak less because they know every extra word is a handle someone can pull. They choose precision over performance. While the loud one keeps flexing, the skilled one keeps building. Here's the brutal truth most people won't say out loud. Stupidity isn't just low intelligence, it's low self-awareness. It's the inability to see your own limits, your own blind spots, your own ignorance. And when a person can't feel their limits, they mistake their comfort for mastery. They mistake familiarity for truth. They mistake certainty for strength. That's why the loudest mind is often the weakest, because he's not speaking to communicate, he's speaking to dominate. He's not debating to learn, he's debating to win a social war you didn't agree to. The goal is not truth, the goal is status relief, the warm, addictive feeling of being above someone. Schopenhauer understood this darkness. Most people don't chase truth. They chase a story where they don't have to change, a story where they are already right, a story where their ego gets to sit on a throne while reality knocks outside like an inconvenient messenger. When you challenge that story, you don't just challenge an opinion, you threaten their identity. And threatened identities don't reason, they bite. So when you're dealing with the confident fool, stop being confused by the confidence. Confidence is cheap. Confidence is often just fear wearing armor. Watch what they do when they're questioned. Watch how they react to nuance. Watch how quickly they reach for mockery, labels, and crowd approval. Those are not tools of intelligence. Those are tools of defense. Because that's what this is, defense. A psychological shield built from noise. If they talk fast enough, loud enough, certain enough, they don't have to face the possibility they're shallow. They don't have to look into the mirror and see the thinness. And if you've ever wondered why they seem almost allergic to being wrong, it's because being wrong would force them to feel what they've been avoiding for years. But here's the part that matters for you. This isn't random behavior. It's a system. And once you recognize the system, you stop trying to out-argue it like a normal person. You start asking a better question. What exactly are they protecting? And how do you handle someone who needs to feel superior to feel safe? The mental trap is simple and brutal. When a person knows little, they can't feel what they're missing. Missing knowledge doesn't announce itself. It doesn't create pain. It creates comfort. So, they mistake comfort for mastery. Their world is small, clean, and easy to explain. And because it's easy to explain, they feel certain. Certainty is not proof. It's often just the absence of complexity. Real competence comes with a side effect most people hate: doubt. Not weak doubt, productive doubt. The kind that says, there are variables here I haven't measured. The more you understand, the more you see how much you don't. But the shallow mind never reaches that stage. Low knowledge creates low doubt. No nuance, no humility, no awareness of exceptions. They talk in absolutes because absolutes keep them safe. They don't say, sometimes. They don't say, it depends. They say, always, never, everyone knows. That language isn't strength, it's a child, locking the door because the hallway is dark. Then comes ego protection. Being wrong isn't just a mistake to them, it's a humiliation. It feels like death because their identity is built on being right. So when reality contradicts them, they don't adjust, they defend, they interpret disagreement as disrespect, they treat correction like an attack. That's why the conversation instantly turns emotional, even if their voice stays calm. Underneath, they're fighting for survival. If they admit you're right, they fear they'll look small. And to someone addicted to appearing intelligent, small is unbearable. This is where you see the double down. You offer a counterexample and they move the goalpost. You show a source and they attack the source. You ask for evidence and they change the subject. They don't update, they pivot. They don't refine, they repeat. Repetition is their shield. If they say it 3 times with conviction, they hope the room will confuse confidence with truth. And most rooms do, because most rooms are tired and social. They want comfort, not accuracy. The third force is social reward. Confidence gets attention. Attention feels like proof. In modern life, the loudest person often gets the floor, not the most correct one. At work, people mistake speed for competence because meetings are performance theaters. In relationships, people mistake certainty for stability because uncertainty feels unsafe. Online, algorithms reward outrage and clarity, not nuance and precision. So the confident fool gets reinforced. Every time they speak like a dictator, someone nods, someone laughs, someone stays silent, and that silence feels like victory. Notice what this creates. They don't argue to learn, they argue to win. Winning, to them, is not solving the problem. Winning is leaving the other person quiet. Winning is making you explain yourself. Winning is making the room orbit their frame. That's why they love debates in public and hate discussions in private. Public gives them witnesses. Witnesses give them status. Status is the drug. That's why they interrupt. Silence gives you space to think, and thinking is the enemy of their theater. They need momentum, not meaning. And once you understand that, their behavior becomes predictable. They recruit others the moment they feel pressure. They name drop, appeal to everyone, bring in imaginary juries, because truth isn't the point, social proof is. They want numbers on their side. They want the crowd to become a weapon. Here's the open secret. The reason they attack smarter people isn't disagreement, it's threat response. Your nuance makes them look crude. Your calm makes them look reactive. Your questions expose the holes in their certainty. So they do what insecure power always does. They try to reduce you. They label you arrogant, overthinking, too sensitive, anything to turn your depth into a flaw. Because if they can make your intelligence look like a problem, they don't have to face their own shallowness. And that's the danger. Not that they're wrong. The danger is that they're wrong with conviction, rewarded for it, and allergic to correction. And the moment they feel exposed, they don't seek truth. They seek revenge. Schopenhauer's diagnosis is colder than most people can tolerate. The average person doesn't use ideas to find truth. They use ideas to avoid pain. Opinions aren't maps for reality, they're anesthesia, a sedative you swallow, so you don't have to face your own mediocrity, your own confusion, your own lack of control. That's why certain people don't debate like adults. They don't enter a conversation to discover what's real. They enter to feel relief. Relief from doubt, relief from insecurity, relief from the silent suspicion that maybe they're not as special as they desperately need to be. So they pick beliefs that make them feel safe, superior, and justified. They choose conclusions that flatter their ego. They choose certainty because certainty calms the nervous system. And when you bring nuance into their world, you don't sound intelligent to them, you sound like a threat. This is where idiot confidence becomes a painkiller. It replaces achievement. Instead of building something in real life, skills, results, discipline, they build a fantasy identity. I'm the smart one. Then they defend that identity like a kingdom. Being right becomes their substitute for progress. They can lose at life and still feel like they're winning, as long as they can win an argument in their head. Mockery is the next drug. Mockery replaces competence because competence takes work, and work forces humility. When you're competent, you know how hard it was, and you respect complexity. But mockery is cheap power. You can dismiss a deeper person with one label: overthinking, nerd, try-hard, pseudo-intellectual. Those labels are not critiques, they're masks. They are the clown makeup insecure people wear when they don't have the tools to compete honestly. They turn your depth into something laughable so they don't have to confront their shallowness. Then comes moral superiority, the cleanest weapon. Moral superiority replaces self-discipline. Instead of becoming better, they judge. Instead of improving their habits, they attack yours. They don't say, I'm lazy. They say, you're obsessed. They don't say, I lack control. They say, you're intense. They turn your ambition into a flaw and call it humility. Schopenhauer would say, this is the human animal protecting itself. If I can make your strength look ugly, I don't have to feel weak beside you. Now, zoom out and watch the hierarchy. Loud certainty is not just personality, it's a dominance move. It's a way to control the frame. Every conversation has an invisible courtroom inside it. Someone is the judge, someone is the defendant, and the audience decides who looks credible. The confident fool is always trying to make you the defendant. They ask questions like accusations. They correct you for sport. They interpret your explanations as confessions. And the moment you start defending yourself, you step into their courtroom. You accept their frame. You begin pleading for a verdict. This is why intelligent people get punished in social settings. Intelligence introduces nuance, and nuance slows down the dopamine of certainty. Nuance makes people feel small because it implies the world is bigger than their simple opinions. To the insecure, nuance sounds like disrespect. It feels like you're showing off, even when you're simply being accurate. So they retaliate, not because you harmed them, but because you exposed the gap between their confidence and their competence. And this is where you need to stop being naive. Some of these people aren't just dumb. They're emotionally invested in staying dumb. They need their certainty. They need their superiority. They need the room to validate their mask. So when you challenge them, you're not challenging a thought, you're challenging a coping mechanism. That's why they escalate. That's why they get personal. That's why they recruit the crowd. Because if the mask breaks, they have to feel what they've been dodging for years. Schopenhauer would call it the tragedy of the herd. Most people would rather be comforted than corrected. They'd rather feel right than become right. And once you accept that, a dangerous clarity arrives. You stop wasting energy trying to educate someone who is using ignorance as a blanket. You stop handing them your time like tribute. You stop arguing for truth in a room where truth isn't the currency. You start using strategy. Because the question isn't, how do I convince them? The question is, how do I protect my mind, my reputation, and my energy from someone who turns conversation into domination? And when you answer that question, you stop losing to noise. Once you see their playbook, you can't unsee it. The confident fool isn't improvising. He's running a script because the goal isn't truth. The goal is to maintain the illusion of superiority long enough for the room to submit, and the illusion survives through 5 predictable games. First, volume and speed. They talk fast, so you can't inspect the logic. Speed creates momentum, and momentum creates intimidation. If you try to slow it down, wait, define what you mean. They react like you're stalling. That's not accidental. Slowness is fatal to them because slowness invites precision, and precision is where their ideas collapse. So they flood the space. They make it exhausting to respond. They force you to either chase them sentence by sentence or give up. Most people give up, and the moment you give up, they interpret your silence as surrender. Second, mockery and labels. When they can't compete with your point, they attack your posture. They'll call you overthinking when you're thinking correctly. They'll call you too sensitive when you're noticing disrespect. They'll call you a nerd when you're being accurate. Labels are shortcuts. Labels are social weapons. They don't need to prove you wrong if they can make you look ridiculous. And if you get emotional, they win twice, because now the room remembers your reaction more than their stupidity. That's why they poke you, not to learn, to provoke footage. Third, strawman simplification. This is the butcher's knife. You say something layered, careful, nuanced, and they chop it into a cartoon. So you're saying everyone is evil. So you think you're better than people. So basically you want control. They replace your real argument with a cheap version they can beat easily. Then they beat it with confidence, and if you try to correct it, you look like you're backpedaling. That's why strawmen are so effective. They force you into a defensive posture. They drag you into their courtroom. Fourth, crowd recruitment. This is where it gets dangerous, because now it's not a conversation, it's politics. They start looking around while they talk. They make little jokes designed for the audience, not for you. They say, everyone knows and we all agree, and you're the only one who thinks this. They don't want to defeat your ideas. They want to isolate you socially, because humans will abandon truth to avoid exile. The crowd is the gun. They're just pointing it. You see this online constantly. Someone makes a shallow claim. You respond with a measured correction, and suddenly you're not debating the claim, you're battling a swarm of people rewarding arrogance with likes. That's why confident fools thrive in comment sections. Social proof replaces logic. Popularity replaces truth. Noise becomes victory. Fifth, endless certainty. They never concede because conceding would crack the mask. So they pivot. If you dismantle one point, they move to another. If you answer one accusation, they bring a new one. They don't behave like someone searching for accuracy. They behave like a man defending territory. And a man defending territory doesn't care about being right. He cares about not being seen as wrong. Here's the key lesson that will save you years of wasted energy. You cannot win in their arena, because their arena isn't built for truth. It's built for status. If you try to destroy them verbally, you end up playing their game. Longer exchanges, more heat, more performance. They want you there. They want you invested. They want you swinging in their mud pit so they can say, "See, he's emotional, he's obsessed, he's unstable." Your intelligence becomes irrelevant the moment you accept their frame. This is why smart people feel drained after dealing with them. You're not tired because the topic was hard. You're tired because you were forced to fight a war of perception while also trying to be decent. You were trying to solve a math problem while someone kept kicking the table. So the solution isn't to sharpen your insults. It's to become unpullable, to stop giving them handles, to stop offering paragraphs they can twist, to stop treating every provocation like it deserves a response. Because once you become unpullable, the confident fool has a problem. His tricks don't land, his performance gets no reaction, his labels don't stick, his speed doesn't drag you, his crowd games don't move you. And that's when the entire dynamic flips. Because when you don't react the way they expect, you force them into the one place they can't survive: clarity. Here's how you handle them without bleeding energy. You stop feeding the circus. First, don't debate, interrogate. One cold question is worth 10 paragraphs. Your job isn't to convince them. Your job is to force clarity in front of witnesses. Ask something that makes their performance stumble. What's your evidence? Define what you mean. What specific claim are you making? Or the most lethal one, what would change your mind? Watch closely. A serious mind answers. A bad faith mind dodges. And the dodge tells you everything you need to know. Second, don't perform. Short answers, clean tone, no emotional essays. The longer you talk, the more material you hand them. The confident fool survives on handles, extra words they can twist, misquote, or frame as weakness. So, you speak like a scalpel, not a waterfall. One sentence, pause. Let the silence do the work. Silence forces the room to notice who's actually thinking. Third, protect your energy. The moment you sense bad faith, mockery, moving goalposts, crowd recruitment, you exit. Not with drama, not with a speech. You simply stop paying. All right, not interested. We're done here. Then you leave the thread, leave the table, leave the argument. People confuse leaving with losing because they're addicted to social approval. But power is the ability to withdraw from nonsense without guilt. Your attention is not a public resource. Fourth, choose arenas. If you're truly intelligent, you don't wrestle in mud. You write, you build, you create results. You let your work speak where your words would be wasted. Most fools want debates, because debates are cheap status. They can feel important without producing anything. You don't give them that. You choose arenas where reality keeps score: money, output, mastery, reputation earned over time. Reality is the judge they can't bribe. And here's the identity shift that changes everything. Being intelligent isn't winning arguments, it's choosing where your mind is spent. A sharp mind isn't loud, it's selective. It doesn't chase every provocation like a dog chasing cars. It invests its focus where the return is real. So remember this line, because it's the difference between power and exhaustion. Stupid people chase the feeling of being right. Intelligent people chase reality. If you want, the next video can go even darker. How to spot bad faith debaters in the first 10 seconds, and how to shut down mockery with one calm sentence that leaves them with nowhere to stand.